Hello and good morning, YouTube. Welcome to another spectacular episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL, and I have put together a ton of awesome topics as well as an outstanding panel to help me break them all down. This is, of course, some of the hottest off the presses info in gaming. That's why you tune in every Friday. You're getting the hottest, newest information, never regurgitated shit. And I think everyone really digs that. So let's get right into the introductions. First up, he is one of the biggest Star Wars fans I know. He is a huge asset to this incredible community. He's an old school gamer who enjoys new school games. He's a proud supporter of all three consoles, and he is the leader of the Assassins for Hire organization known as the Sesh Empire. Please welcome Shady.
Hey, thanks, Boom. You know, in the pre-show there, you're telling us that we get to talk as long as we want on this show. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the very first episode of the So Shady Show. No, I'm just kidding. I can't wait to get into these topics, man. It is early Friday morning, but I am already G-fueled out of my damn mind. I'm excited to be here, man. Let's do it.
Well, listen, it's great to have you here back in your regular seat that you deserve and you've earned of being just an awesome community member, gamer, and friend. So thank you for coming and hanging out. And next, we have an Xbox gamer who enjoys the brotherhood of the community, a gamer who will not play Days Gone no matter how good it is. He's a diehard Xbox fan, hoping that this year's E3 will in fact be the best ever. He's a man that has been called Emperor, King, Lord, and Ambassador. Please welcome the magnificent Zemi.
Well, I don't know about King and Lord. I mean, those are two new titles that you're throwing on me. I don't know if I can handle all this, but thank you so much, Boom. Super excited to be here. I've been like looking forward to this like all week, ever since like last Friday. This is amazing. I love coming on the show, talking about games and the industry that we all love, and just super excited to be here. So thanks.
Yeah, it's great to have you, dude. Always a lot of fun to talk about games. And let's move on to the next guest. He is an important member of the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. He's also considered our inside man for all GameStop secret information, a gamer not afraid to give you his opinion and ruffle feathers, a Destiny veteran who will shoot you in the face with his Gallahorn. Please welcome Gaming Forte.
Yo, so first of all, welcome everybody to the show. This is a tradition for me. Every Friday I boot this up and listen to Boone and then just go crazy about all these topics they talk about for 2 hours. So it's always the beginning of my day. So it's always great to be a part of that show and give information to everybody that wants it. So thanks again for the invite.
Dude, it's always great to have you here. Love what you do on BRAP. Of course, when you and a few of the members go back and forth with your opinions, it's like a brotherhood watching on the air. So it was great to see that. Great to have you here.
That I missed you last week because I had to work.
yeah, that's okay. We still had a lot of fun. But yeah, great to have you, dude. Thank you so much for being here. Next up, we have a gamer making his second appearance, or might be his third appearance on Breakfast with Boom. He's a corporate and private equity lawyer by day, die-hard gamer by night, a big Days Gone fan who has killed more freakers than I can count, and a gamer super stoked to play Final Fantasy VII. Please welcome Luke.
Oh, thanks, Boom. That's awesome. I encountered my first horde the other day on Days Gone, and it was terrifying.
It was, man. When there's that many of them coming at you, you just got to get on that bike and go.
Yeah. It's really tough. Can't wait to talk about some of these topics because you got a great list of topics today. So yeah, let's get into it.
I appreciate it very much. And last and certainly not least, he didn't oversleep, folks. So he's here for your pleasure. So listen up. He considers himself to be a die-hard Xbox gamer. He's a car enthusiast who is a Forza Motorsport veteran, technology connoisseur, fantastic artist, esports competitor, full-time member of the Saltiest podcast, and an awesome YouTuber whose passion for gaming shines through in every video he puts out. Please welcome Hyena Den.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Yeah, like we've mentioned in the pregame, uh, we've had troubles in the past trying to coordinate our schedules together, but I am happy to actually make this show with this awesome panel that you've put together. So hey, I'm very excited to get into a lot of these topics. There's a lot of good ones in there.
Yeah, it's great to have you, man. We really appreciate what you do on the Saltiest podcast. Also appreciate what you do on your channel. You do drop some really good videos. So if you're not subscribed, head over to each and every one of that's on the panel. Subscribe to their channels if they have them. Everything is listed in the show notes below. But before we get into the first topic, there's a couple of announcements. First, I have to say this. I wanted to personally thank a few of the community members that have become Patreon supporters in the last few weeks. Towards the end of April, I finally broke down after being asked by numerous not panel members, community members to start a Patreon. I was very sketchy about it because, I wanted to make sure that one, I proved myself to the community, and I wanted to gain that trust. And I think I've done that. And I also wanted to prove to myself that I could be a good content creator that does the job and that deserves people to support. And I, from the people's, what they've told me in private DMs and on Twitter, I have reached that mark. So I started it at the end of April. And as of today, as of this morning, I still can't believe I was able to get 17 people to sign up to Patreon. So I want to give them all, shout outs. First of all, I have to start with my wife, Josette Rivera, who has been the biggest supporter of this lofty dream of mine, since going on 2 years, and she's always supported me in my gaming habits. So AP Cool, Biggie 2316, Christopher Hughes Sr., Creeper, The Only One Left, Defunct Jester, Dave, Elemental P, Jim Jordan, Chaos Theory, Lethal Papa, Mark Devlin, Mental 9R Gamer, Ricardo Willis, Scrub Nurse, and last but certainly not least, Tempest Sun. Thank you guys for really just completely blowing me out of the water with the support. It's just been really great. And the last announcement before we get into the actual first topic, setting up for this morning's show, and I was talking about this with the guys prior to going live. Double Barrel Gaming has officially crossed 300,000 views in 18 months, and that is just unbelievable. I have almost 300 videos out in those 18 months, which is just crazy. And again, the support from the community has been nothing short of breathtaking. So I wanted to thank you, community, for helping me reach this goal. It is a big deal for me. I'm happy to get one person to listen, but this many people, it's just crazy. So let's get into the first topic. And you know what? I want to open up with Marvel once again. MCU is, of course, a hot commodity. We know what went down with Endgame. If you haven't seen it, I will not spoil it on this show, but I encourage you to go check out that movie. It's probably one of the best films I've personally ever seen. But you know what? I want to talk about Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics, the Avengers project that has been in development for quite some time. And, it's been 2 years since the Avengers project from the developers, of course, Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, and publisher Square Enix, it was announced. And, there's been a few updates, not a lot about the game. But you know what? Right now, they're looking for a narrative director, and this person will be responsible for making memorable, emotional, and cinematic experiences, implying that the Avengers game will be a very heavy story-driven game. And I think that's what we all want. Because, later on in this year, in the summer, we're going to get Marvel vs. Capcom Ultimate, not Marvel vs. Capcom. We're going to get Ultimate Alliance 3, and that's going to be your hack and slash, your beat 'em up. And I think that as Marvel fans, everybody on this panel, of course, lots of people in the chat, you want that cinematic open world, big story kind of experience. And when you say Marvel, now that Marvel has acquired Fox, they have Fantastic Four, and they have the thousands of mutants from the X-Men franchises back in the fold. And it is a big deal. So Shady, I want to go to you first on this. When the Avengers project was first talked about, we didn't know a lot. They showed a very looming cinematic where you see it looked as if the Avengers had been defeated. People, their shields, Cap shields on the floor, Thor's hammers, into the ground. What are your expectations and wants for the Avengers project?
They're huge. I enjoy the Marvel movies. I'm not like a fanatic, if you will. I'll just call myself a fan. Like I do enjoy the content. I watched a lot of the cartoons growing up. I wasn't diehard comic kind of guy and stuff. I find that's one of the reasons why I can enjoy the movies that I do, is that if they get something a little bit wrong, it doesn't trigger me. If Star Wars gets something wrong, on the other hand, I'm losing my mind. So there's a difference there for me. But with the Marvel games, especially, man, like when it comes to the movies, there's almost no other company that has done what Disney and Marvel have done. We're talking like 22 movies, all of which are doing $750 million or more, basically. Like it's next level popularity. And I've felt that the video game segment has basically been neglected. I don't know the reasoning. It might have been Disney waiting out for the licenses to expire from Sega and Activision with Spider-Man and some of the other companies out there to get them all back so they can control what's being made, because superhero games for a long time were essentially almost shovelware-ish. Like you had a couple of standouts that were decent, but it was very, very, very rare that you'd have a wicked superhero game. I mean, it was kind of like Batman, which isn't even Marvel, that really made a superhero game almost like AAA quality, both with its story, its graphics, its gameplay. Like across the board, it was fantastic. And then Spider-Man right behind that took what it learned from previous Spider-Man games, what Batman had done, and released a fantastic Spider-Man game. Outside of that, I mean, we've got that title on the Switch, which, I mean, has its fans. I'm not one of them for that specific title. And then same with like the Iron Man VR. And I think that's not doing the franchise of Marvel enough justice.
I agree.
I would like to see like wicked top tier AAA level gaming, but I'm not a game developer or designer. I have difficulty coming up with a superhero game idea myself that is outside of the realm of almost that Batman and Spider-Man formula, the third person action adventure with a good story attached to it. Like I can't really come up with one myself, and they've been really stingy on the details as to what exactly these Avengers projects are going to be coming from Square Enix. Are they going to be Tomb Raider-esque, where we're running around kind of a sandbox and exploring and collecting things? I think I've heard the term almost games as a service thrown around a little bit with these titles. I'm not sure what.
Yes, we're gonna get into that later in the story. Like, yeah, absolutely, dude.
How do they define that term? Does that just mean lots of DLC for us to buy? Does that mean something like Sea of Thieves, where the game is going to launch maybe content light and get more and more over time for free? I'm not too sure. I really hope that they're going all out, and whatever it is just AAA. I'd really like to see these characters get the big spotlight that I think that they deserve. I hope it is an action game. Like I really do. I'm fine if they almost just essentially reskin Batman and Spider-Man into a Thor and a Captain America and an Iron Man with the flight mechanics from Anthem, if you will. Like I'm fine with that. All the different powers that they can have and stuff. I'm cool with that. If they have something different in mind, I hope it's up my alley. I have no idea until we see it. It's going to be like we're a month away now. Geez, until E3. That's crazy. So we don't have to wait long, but I really want them to come out swinging big time on that AAA front and kind of not necessarily abandon or leave the side projects of Marvel, but I just want to see some big games from that franchise myself.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Really great point. I think that the Marvel license is severely underused, and I think that we're getting to a point with graphics and size of games that that they could make a big project, and I hope that's what this is going to be. I
was going to say real quick, I also hope that whatever stories they do tell, I would like them to be separate from the movieverse. I think that frees them up to just do whatever they like. There's more freedom involved. They're not tying it to a certain movie.
I agree. Yeah, that's
or
a great point.
Certain plot points, and just let them tell their own comic stories. I mean, these are comics. Anything goes, really, if you're a fan of that type of material. So I hope that they're not connected per se to the movies.
Yeah, no, that's another great point. Original stories certainly allows for more, creation of the world and use of characters. You're not really
Yeah.
so much under one thumb. Zemi, I want to get your opinion on this. Eidos and Crystal Dynamics have been talking about the game very in like little pieces, and it appears that this is going to be an ever expanding Marvel universe that will have a continued story arc. It's going to feature original characters, stories, missions, and they're talking about this is all going to happen in the post game play through a season pass or DLC kind of a method, and seeing how this has worked for big AAA titles like the Division, like Destiny, like Assassin's Creed. I'm absolutely stoked for it because I think that an ever expanding, growing universe could bring you off world, right? You can talk, you can go into space, you can go into different universes. There is the multiverse. What are your thoughts on the way that they're talking about expanding the game post, release?
I mean, to be honest with you, just by going over the information that you've sent us, before the podcast and everything. I mean, honestly, the game to me really sounds like it might be more of an MMO than almost anything. Now, with that being said, it might not be a full-fledged, MMO like the same way that DC Universe Online was.
Right.
It might be more of a hybrid title like Destiny, being, Destiny's. There's elements of an MMO, and then there's also elements of a first-person shooter game, and so that's what I'm leaning towards is a shared open world. You're talking about adding additional content. I mean, that's what an MMO is all for, and like that type of a game is just amazingly well suited. For an MMO of adding additional content as in season passes and as time goes on. Obviously, I'm not a huge superhero fan, so whatever it is, I'm not going to play it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's really the only thing I really wanted to share is that it just sounds like an MMO to me.
Okay, well, I mean, look, I'm gonna say this. I want to get Gaming Forte's opinion on this next. Square Enix recently revealed that their plans for E3 2019, and in a bit of a shocking move, they took the slot that belonged to Sony, which is going to be on Monday, June 10th at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. our time. And this is a prime time slot, dude. And I think that we as far as we know, there's no new Tomb Raider, right? We know that's Final Fantasy VII. We're going to break that down in the Sony event that happened yesterday. They showed the actual gameplay, which looks amazing. But I think it's safe to assume, without being a kind of an a-hole here, that they're going to show something. They have to anyway. I mean, you're taking the prime time spot. You can't go up there and show Final Fantasy VII for an hour. People are going to be bored out of their minds. I'm sure the game's going to be great, but people want to see it. What do you think the chances of the company actually showing what they're up to with the Avengers project?
Man, I think it's very high. I mean, I don't know what else they really could show. I mean, their show is usually 45 minutes to an hour, so I don't know what unless something at E3 on Microsoft stage gets announced, or even at their own press conference later in the day. I just don't know exactly what else they can really add. This game has been in the works for so long now, teased to us, like you said, over 2 years ago, and I think it's just right now is the best time to strike while the iron is hot. You got
good points. Great points.
You got the new Spider-Man game that's literally releasing like right around that same time. So I think they just need to make sure that they what's the way I want to say it? Being in that spot at 9 o'clock, the only thing people are going to remember at 9 o'clock is the fact that Sony's not there. So they so they have to impress people, because you're going to be tied to, most people that are up that late watching E3 are going to be used to watching like Sony try to knock our socks off with all these these exclusive experiences that you can only get on their system. Now we're going to be talking about something that Square Enix, which is a third-party publisher, that's going to be bringing to everybody. When it comes to the game itself, I'm excited for it. I will say that it kind of took a little wind out of me just because it is a game as service or a shared world, like they said. I have way too many of those, and it's not a fault of the game. I just have way too many of those in my life right now, and it's just no way to play them all. And then with them being this their first go into that foray, I just hope they do it right. That's the biggest thing with a game like this. Being able to have the post-release content in place, being able to know exactly what your player base wants, because that's the one thing about shareware games. You know, the player base is very, very fickle. You got people that love the things you're doing, you got people that hate the things you're doing, and all that, you're trying to galvanize a player base to actually enjoy everything that you're bringing. So I envy the situation they're in, because they have a lot to live up to. Well, like you said, the movies and stuff has knocked it out of the park, and pretty much 2019 is the year of Marvel. And I think that we just need to be more patient with what we're going to see. Taper your expectations, because I don't know if they're going to go full bore. The biggest thing is it going to release this year? Is it going to be a holiday release? Is it going to be something that they're probably going to release in the first quarter of next year? Are they going to be showing this on new hardware?
That's what I'm thinking, dude. I really don't. I don't see it coming out this year. I mean, they just announced they're looking for. They're still filling positions. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So if this is going to come out, I think it's going to be next gen. I think it's going to be a launch title for the PS5 and for the Xbox Anaconda in the form of a fall 2020 release. Yeah, that's my take.
And that's the main reason why I think they really need to knock it out of the park this year, because Marvel is in everybody's mindset.
Yes.
And you really have to double down on that to let people know that this game is still a thing, because right now I'm more excited for Ultimate Marvel Alliance 3 that's coming out on the Switch, because that looks amazing.
That's within reach.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's within reach, and I'm more excited because I loved the Marvel Ultimate games before. And this game, until they show me exactly what we're getting, that's when I'll be super excited. But I like the prospect of it, and I just hope they do show it at E3 this year.
Do you think it'll be a next-gen only game if that's the case, or would it be a cross-gen?
No,
is there enough consoles?
Yeah,
is there enough consoles at launch to satisfy Marvel's possible demand? No. You know what I mean? Or they could sell 10, 15 million copies otherwise if it was this gen and next gen, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be cross-gen, mostly just because we all know Microsoft has the initiative where all the games go forward.
Yeah,
it's still up in the air on Sony. We did hear that they did say that it's going to be forward compatibility. No backward, well, we don't know about backwards compatibility. So it being a launch game on PS5 is kind of in the bushes for me, because they're going to want to sell to as many people as possible. So that kind of dictates that it's going to be a 8th generation launch.
Yeah, I think Sony has said that the PS4 games will go forward for sure, but I believe they've come out and said that PS3 will not be back compat.
Would not be back compat. Well, they said everything PS1, PS2, no PS3.
Yeah, that's probably because of the
good luck trying to get that to work. I don't think that's. I don't think the PS5 that cell technology is wickedly difficult.
Yeah, it's so different than the standard architectures that PCs and stuff are using. So it's hard to get it to emulate.
Yeah, I mean, look, all I'm going to say is this. It's pretty interesting that. I mean, again, everyone on the panel so far has really hit it out of the park. We're talking about, this is Marvel's time to shine. Marvel's in the mindset of everyone. They're winning at the box office. Captain Marvel, huge success. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if you guys saw, Endgame did so well that people started going back to see Captain Marvel, and her film wind up getting number 2 several weeks in a row, which is bananas after months and
that's
months
crazy.
After.
It was actually wrapped up in a bit of its own controversy and stuff with the lead actress there, kind of running her mouth on some of their political views and whatnot, if you will. But it's done surprisingly well. And I wanted to throw a little bit of a remix question in for more than Marvel and the rest of the panel. Does anyone want to play as a villain in these games, or is it only heroes?
Oh no, I'm all about playing as villains. I mean, because
Okay.
it's easy about I always want to see the other side of the story. That's why I like Infinity War so much, because they lost so much. And
Yeah.
that's what made that movie so great, because the villain actually came out and, spoiler
And one,
alert,
it was the
didn't see
best
the movie by
version.
now.
It was the best version of Empire Strikes Back for Marvel.
Exactly.
No doubt about it.
I think it'd be cool to have a villain superhero game. No one really talks about that or even kind of brings it up ever. I just, I think it'd be neat.
Yeah, I think actually would be kind of cool. But Hyena Den, I want to get your opinion on this. They have a lot writing on this game, and I'm not sure who said it in the chat. I'm sorry, because the chat is really, really going fast. Thanaros had said in the chat. First of all, thanks for being here, dude. Appreciate you coming and hanging out. He said that you got to remember, and I'm paraphrasing that. Both Eidos, which the team that's doing is their AAA team. This is the A team doing this. They've been very quiet, and I think that's a good thing. I think that if this reveal turns out to be what I hope it's going to be, it's going to be a big deal for the game, because I still think the game is a year out, and I think it's going to launch with the consoles and in 2020 in the fall, which I believe both consoles will be releasing around that time. Who's going first, I couldn't tell you. But in your opinion, how big do you think that this E3 could potentially be for Crystal Dynamics, for Square Enix, for Eidos to show this game for the first time?
Well, honestly, so for me as a gamer, I know I've mentioned this before. Unfortunately, superheroes is something that I've never been interested in for myself. The only exception to the rule was Sunset Overdrive, and that was because it was just wacky beyond belief. So it had its own charm to it. With Square Enix taking Sony's primetime slot, it's there. It can go either way.
Right,
It's theirs to gain and it's theirs to lose. If they have something exciting to show, like the Avengers project, and it's landed right, then it could really the spotlight could really shine on them. But if it's not there, then it'll just be looked at as kind of, well, not wasted space, but
a miss, maybe
a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me with Square Enix at E3, the Avengers project isn't something I'm particularly looking at. It's more of the smaller stuff. Like Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics have done great work on games they've already shipped, with Hitman and the Tomb Raider series and all sorts of different projects. And I genuinely like their work. So like I've mentioned, it's the smaller stuff that I think I'm more interested in when it comes to Square Enix. And that is, they might drop more expansions or DLCs or news revolving around Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And I know that that's not going to interest a lot of people because, that's already, been there, done that stuff. But, for me, it's something that I think I'm more interested in than Avengers or even stuff like Final Fantasy VII remake or anything else. But that's just me personally,
I mean, you make a lot of sense. I mean, listen, if you're not into it, you're not into it. But you're absolutely right. This taking the prime time spot. I mean, for me as a person that's not just invested in as a gamer, but who's a content creator and really trolls for stories on a weekly basis. I think that they would not have taken such a primetime spot unless they, we're going to blow it out the water. And Luke, I want to get your final point on this. Getting to this particular 9 o'clock spot, which of course on the East Coast is primetime TV. 6 o'clock for West Coast. They can only do it so late. So I don't know if that's considered primetime or not for the West Coast, but the spotlight is going to be on them for two reasons. One, this is Sony's old stomping grounds, and they took it. And I'm a firm believer that as great as Final Fantasy VII is going to be, and I know you're excited for that. I know a lot of people in the chat talking about DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3. I think that's going to be fantastic. I don't think that that's all you can show. If they were going to show a new Tomb Raider, I would be very excited. But I don't think that's even remotely even in pre-production from what I understand. So the last thing that I know that they're working on that has been secret, they've been very quiet about, has been the Avengers project. Do you expect to see it there, and what are your expectations for the game?
Yeah, I think it's I think it's as close to guaranteed to being there as you can probably get without actually saying that. I think I was expecting it last year, as I think some people were as well. But it just never turned up because they actually said when they kind of talked about it a few years ago that they were going to kind of officially announce the game, i.e. reveal it in 2018, which they never did. And then they never came out and said why that was or anything like that. So I'd be surprised if they, as you say, if they didn't show it, considering the kind of slot that they've taken up, which is kind of the place where you usually expect Sony to show off, some kind of big single player blockbuster game. So in terms of the game itself, I am really excited for it. It's no doubt from job adverts, etc., going to be some form of shared world. I think that's pretty much a lock. And it's hard to kind of envisage what that will be, like how that will work in practice. Are you playing as presumably you're playing as members of the Avengers cast, but I don't know how that will actually work in a game where presumably you're going to have kind of persistent RPG elements, etc., which I imagine it will have. I think an interesting thing about it was that I think it was last year they hired Sean Eskag, who is the creative director and writer on it, and he was previously the one of the creative directors on Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Yes, correct. Yes.
So they have a good pedigree of someone who certainly knows how to do cinematic games really well. So that I think my concern is I really just hope they nail the kind of story elements and that side of things, as well as the online world stuff, because I don't think there's not really been a game yet that's really got the balance down between a really good story that you can play on your own if you want and an online kind of persistent world. I think for me, probably Destiny 2 Forsaken was probably the closest that I've seen.
Great point. Really great point. Yep.
So as long as they do that, I'm really excited for it. I mean, Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal are like top tier developers anyway, so I'm sure it'll be a great looking game, and I mean it's going to sell so many copies. It's going to make so much money. It's just Square Enix must have been very happy the day that they managed, out of all the licenses they could have got from Disney Marvel to get the Avengers license, because especially now that they've seen the results of both Infinity War and Endgame at the cinema, it's the perfect time to start talking about this game now. So I'd be hugely surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point. Well, listen, this was a magnificent topic, and I'm glad everyone, everyone first of all knocked it out of the park once again. I love the banter. The chat has been absolutely fantastic. I want to move on to the next topic, and I think it's a big one. Next week on May 14th, Rage 2 is set to release, and I sent you guys the gameplay trailer, which just looked. I mean, my God, if you were waiting for a post-apocalyptic type of game, open world with Doom style guns and powers like I've never seen in another game, you're going to get that in spades. Rage 2, since it was originally shown, has been exciting gamers since it was shown at the Bethesda E3 event in 2017. Big guns, big explosions, and of course, the ID Software trademark, the BFG, is making its reappearance. Which, of course, it wouldn't be an ID game if the big effing gun was not in there. And I got to be honest with you, it doesn't seem as if Rage 2 is skimping out on anything. The graphics seem to be next generation. And, there was a little controversy that kind of, like a balloon, it's really big and it goes, shh, and it falls on the floor and no one cares about it, where they decided it was going to be 1080 60 as opposed to the 4K 30. And I actually were really happy that the developer went out and said, listen, this is the best way to play the game in 60 frames per second, but it's going to be in 1080p. Trust me, you guys are going to be blown away. And every trailer they have shown has completely just blew my eyeballs out of my sockets. Now, I want to read what the creative director, who goes by the name of Willits, is his last name, had to say regarding how to play Rage 2. And I'm going to get everyone's opinion on this. I really encourage players, and this is the important part to note. When you start to play, take your time to really kind of learn and practice with the abilities, because that is when the game really shines. And he was speaking to Variety during an interview. He goes on to say, it's the most fun when you find a bunch of the arcs, you upgrade yourself, you get all of the unlocks, and you start tearing through the world. That's the most fun. Don't blaze through the story because you'll have a great time, but you'll have more fun if you uncover the arcs and start to get the really cool stuff that we've put into the game. Now, first of all, Shady, I want to go to you on this. I know you're chomping at the bit to talk about the violence that has been displayed in these trailers. First of all, how excited are you? And do you think that this is another big win for ID Software, for Avalanche Studios, and of course, Bethesda?
Oh, yes. I would say I'm on the moon, but that's not far enough. I'm on Mars with the hype. It's so big, man. It's got me up there. I love id Software so much, man. I think that they deliver just time and time again from the very beginning of Wolfenstein all the way through their catalog. I absolutely adore id Software. I think they make some of the absolute best first-person shooters. I mean, they invented the genre. They invented deathmatch, for God's sake. To my knowledge, they invented over the internet with your modem deathmatch. I remember going to my dad's office at lunch hours every now and then when he would bring me down as a kid, and I would get to play with all the tech support guys, get to play Doom and Doom 2 on the network there, and my mind was just so blown, the fact that we were playing the same game, but on different computers and stuff. Like, this was way back in the in the 1900s, needless to say. Like, it was a long time ago. And man, I love id Software, and Avalanche has, in my opinion, been knocking it out the park recently as far as their open world games have gone. I really like Just Cause, and I really, really, really liked Mad Max. I thought it was a fantastic game that essentially got kind of slept on and just beat up in the reviews for whatever reason. But man, I loved that Mad Max game. So
yeah,
I'm so hyped for Rage, like so hyped. I thought that very first reveal trailer with like the crazy punk music was a bit of a misstep. And I was sort of like, yikes, I don't want to hear that type of soundtrack. But everything that my eyes were seeing was saying, oh, hell yes. Like, it just looks absolutely phenomenal. And if we're taking that id Software, tried, tested, and true first-person shooter mechanics, and then bringing them into the massively open, detailed worlds that Avalanche is able to make now, all running at 60 frames. My God.
Yes.
Like, I am so all over this. I had some money issues recently because I had a very sick pet, which cost a lot of money to bring her back from the brink. And recently, my brother and I found out that we have to redo like the roof to our house and buy another water heater to stay insured. So like, money is tight. I had the game pre-ordered and I took it away. I returned it. But I mean, it came back within 4 or 5 days. My roommate and whatnot, my game share partner, jumped in and was like, no way, we're missing out on this day one. It has to happen. Like, it has to. So we decided, we're doing it anyways. And I'm super hyped up, man. They've got really cool cheat codes. My God, cheat codes. What the hell are those in video games in today's world? You know what I mean? And they have a whole bunch of them. Like Aussie Man Reviews. He's a big YouTuber, just this Australian guy that, voices over funny stuff on the internet. It's hilarious. I love his channel. He gets to do a voiceover track. The NBA Jam guy that we all remember from way back in the 1900s. He's on fire. You cut that head right off.
Boom, shakalaka.
That's right. Like, I can't wait to play the game with some of these voiceovers just to see what's going on. The color is absolutely everywhere and in your face. The neon. it just looks so fast and furious, man. I'm glad they went the 1080 60 frames route.
Yeah, me too.
Because I find 60 frames in a shooter especially is just, it's so much more appealing gameplay wise. It eliminates almost all the blur that you'll see on your TV. I love it. And I mean, 1080p, I love 4K. Like, it's crisp as hell, but 1080p, there's nothing really wrong with it. When I'm watching, let's say, Avengers on a 1080p TV Blu-ray, I'm not wondering if that's Robert Downey Jr. on the screen. I know it is. It looks exactly like him. So, I mean, like, it's not, resolution is certainly not the be-all and end-all. 1080p is easily enough for this game. I cannot wait for it. Monday night can't come fast enough.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna write into go right to you, Hyena, on this one. You know, AZ Brown in the chat. I want to give him a big shout out because he's always here. He says he's looking forward to Rage 2 and of course Doom Eternal, which we're both getting this year supposedly. I'm gonna get a chance. I'm gonna be at the Bethesda conference. I got picked. I got my ticket in hands. I'm gonna be there for E3. I cannot freaking wait for that. What are your takes on how amazing this game is gonna be? And is this going to be another just possible game of the year?
So I actually want to, go back in time a year and a half, something like that, where before E3 happened last year, we started getting all of these crazy leaks from courtesy of Walmart Canada, and Rage 2 was on that list. And I remember everybody, thinking to themselves, who asked for this game? And back then, I felt like I was on a lonely island because I played the first Rage game, I beat it, and I actually enjoyed it. I thought
I really enjoyed it as well. Yeah. So did I. Yes,
I thought it had a lot of promise to it. The same can be said for Mad Max. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe eventually they'll make a sequel to this game. And me envisioning a sequel for Rage, I can envision something that's just ludicrous beyond belief, but I would have never envisioned this game that they've brought up for the consumer. And it's just, this game is so wild. Like, bouncing off of what Shady said, id Software are like, they're technical gods when it comes to first-person shooters. It's amazing what they can do with id Tech, their engine. You look at Wolfenstein. Honestly, whenever I just look over their games, I start gushing. They feel incredible to play, and I kind of side eye that entire very small controversy that got deflated really fast about the whole performance stuff. And I'm not going to performance shame anybody here. If you want to play, if you prefer to play your games at 4K 30, that's awesome. But I honestly applaud id Tech, going with what they know and what they think is best for their game, and keeping it at 1080p 60 for the Pro and X. Obviously the base consoles can't really muster that up, but it is what it is. I'm happy that they're targeting 60 frames because it is well deserved for this title, and the same can be said with stuff like Doom and Wolfenstein. There's just there's a lot to look forward to with Rage 2. Like we've previously mentioned, Avalanche Studios is a part of this as well, and they're doing the driving stuff in the game. And a lot of the driving stuff in the game looks really good. So that's something that there's just little segments about this game that I can pick and choose what I really love about it. And there's so much to choose from, from all the different types of guns that they have. There's different types of elements within them. There's electricity, incendiary. There's corrosion. There's all explosive. There's so much stuff with this game. I think if it's done right, and I think this game will be done right, this could be a game of the year contender. Already a packed list in my opinion. I think there's going to be 6 contenders up for this year. And if it was one of the contenders, I think it would be well deserved because this game looks fantastic and I cannot wait to play it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, dude. I think everyone on the panel is excited. Forte, I want to get your opinion, dude. This looks like it's going to be a big seller for Bethesda. They are the publisher. It looks like it's going to be another great game that was been done by Avalanche, of course, and ID Software. And we, again, just talking about possible game of the year nods. What is your excitement level for Rage 2?
Let me see if I can come in less tamed than they did. No, I can't, man. I can't do it. I gotta talk just like they did. Dude, just the first time I saw this trailer, I was like, wow, okay, I can see where this is going. Then knowing that Avalanche is Just Cause and just the breadth of scope of their games and how they do their driving in the game, fantastic. It being a part of it literally just sealed the deal for me because they know how to make a shooter, especially on the technical side. Jesus, those two together, married, is perfect. The biggest thing I'm excited about this game is just all the different things you can do, from the abilities to the different factions to the vehicles. Jesus Christ, the vehicles, it reminds me of Mad Max the movie. It's like the best part of Mad Max. It was like rocket launchers and all types of guns and stuff that flies all over the place. It's like when I saw this game, I was like, this is a sandbox. This is a true sandbox game. It's like that game you just boot up on a whim, and then next thing you know, 7 hours went by.
Yes,
and you don't know where the time went.
I mean, they said like if you see it, you can drive it, and I've even seen a clip with a talking car like Kit from Knight Rider. You walk up and it's chatting to you like you're the its best buddy. This game's gonna be nuts.
No, it's gonna be crazy because on top of and then when you're driving around, it's not just for the sake of getting around. There's literally that are mobile fortresses that you have to take out while you're in the world driving around.
What about the flying aspects, dude?
Oh my God, dude. I have never been so excited for another game to play. When I realized that, it kind of snuck up on me too, because I was like, oh man, this comes out literally in a couple of weeks. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, I got to make some plans to actually play this day one. It's a day one buy for me. I think anybody that likes sandbox, just do whatever you want to do type worlds, this is going to be it. The fact that they're doing 1080p 60, I am a huge proponent for a person. I am always gameplay over graphics and looks 100% of the time, because that is the experience that you want to have. And I think it has really knocked it out of the park with all of the games that they made, from Doom to everything else. So knowing that that is a benchmark for them is 100% great for me. If you are one of those people that want to play it at a higher resolution and you got a PC, buy it there, because guess what? I guarantee you, if you see this game on a PC run at 4K 60, it's probably going to drop your mouth on the floor.
That's my plan.
Nice.
Well, that's my plan too. I'm still buying it on Xbox because I do want to support. Because I always tell people, if you want your system to do great, you have to support the system of your choice.
Great point.
Yeah,
but on this game, I will be double dipping because I do want to see what the fidelity of this game can get up to on a monster PC. But I am still buying it on Xbox because I like the fact that they're literally giving us what we want, a game that runs and performs the way it should on a system like we have.
Nice. Strong points. Hey, Luke, I want to get your opinion, because you jumped right in. You're buying it for the PC. Is that because you think in typical fashion, ID, we know their history. Their PC games melt people's faces. I'm assuming that's what you're hoping for.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I'm really greedy. I just want it all. I just want the resolution, frame rate, the highest settings. I just want everything. I mean, I will say that I think it's awesome that for the X and the Pro that they're doing 1080p 60. I think, as people have rightly said, I think id shooters in particular. I mean, can you imagine like playing Doom at 30 FPS?
No,
like, it just doesn't work with their shooters, and the whole point of their games is for game feel. So and how fluid they are. So I think it's really good that they've actually decided, you know what, we're gonna put the power of these consoles toward frame rate rather than resolution, and that's really cool. And Yeah, I mean, I'll be getting it on PC, as I said, because I'd like to see it kind of all bells and whistles, and they have really good support for PC games, so you have a lot of customizability, and their games always look just phenomenal as this one does. And I think what's impressive about this one is that it kind of visually it looks a bit better than Doom did when it released, but it's in the context of this massive open world, which makes it more impressive to me than if this was just a narrow kind of Doom-esque shooter. I think that's what's so impressive about it, is that the level of detail on show in that world for a game that will be running on consoles at 60 FPS is astonishing. Like, that's an astonishing technical achievement. So I'm super excited for it. I think it's just wacky, and also one of the things I really like about it, which I don't know how other people feel about this, but I don't need all my open world games to have lots of like RPG elements or stuff like that. And they've already said that this one isn't like that. There's no loot per se. It's just upgrading abilities. You get weapons, you get vehicles, and it's kind of, you just go out and it's a sandbox to enjoy rather than activities to do just for the sake of
you're just cutting through people, you're blowing things up, you're just you're taking what's in front of you. These arcs are going to be a big thing to find, to up your ante for your powers. I like all of that. I like the fact that you could go from one end of the map and if you're going on a mission that does take you across the entire map, which is supposed to be freaking huge. You have the ability to stop off and do this. There's a gas station with punks. You rip them, you tear them to pieces. You get more. You find an arc maybe or two on the way. I think the potential for what you can do. I think this is going to be one of those water cooler games that I'm going to tell you a story and you're like, holy shit, I didn't do that.
Yeah, I think if I don't know, I haven't seen much about this, but I'm just hoping that the systems of the world kind of interact a lot. So probably a bit like kind of Red Dead and Days Gone recently do, where there are these systems in the world that kind of react on the fly, and they create all of these kind of weird situations that are really unique to your game. So I'm hoping that the Rage is going to be like that as well.
Yeah, no, me too. And of course, to close it out, Zemi, I want to get your opinion on this. I don't know if Rage is right up your alley or not, but I think everyone has been talking great about it. What are your opinions on Rage? Is it a day one for you, or is this something you're going to kind of just maybe watch some other people play and then jump in?
I mean, to the exception of Fallout 76, all they had to do was just put Bethesda's name on the case, and I'm in.
Nice.
And make it not scary, and I'm in. No, I am super pumped for this game. I really want to play it. I probably won't get it on release because May 14th is going to be very, very busy. Rage 2 comes out. A Plague Tale Innocence comes out, which I really, really want to jump into.
That looks good. Yeah.
And then Sniper Elite V2 remastered, that comes out as well. And I'm really wanting to get into that as well. So there's too many games for May 14th. So Rage 2 is probably going to be put on the back burner, but I do definitely plan on getting it. The gameplay looks absolutely amazing. Like in the trailer, being able to like levitate people up in the air and then like throw a grenade at them. I mean, the game just looks so brutal, and I just love that type of combat. It just looks like something like there's so much variety and the different ways that you can kill people, that killing people is not going to get boring anytime soon in that game, I don't think. So yeah, I'm just really, really super excited for it. I can't wait. I just wish it came out on May 20th.
A week later.
Yeah, just a week later, and then I would buy it on release.
Well, listen, all I can tell you is that it is going to be it's going to be one of those games that I think people are going to be talking about for quite some time.
Hey, Boom, my hype got away from me there, and I forgot to bring up something, if I may just bookend this topic real quick.
Sure.
You talked about the creative director coming out and kind of giving a tip or hint on how he feels you should play and get the best out of the game.
Right.
Willett's there. Personally, I didn't really like that myself. It came off as almost like he was sort of damage controlling the fact that if you do just pick it up and play it as a straightforward shooter for the story, you might be let down. I loved the first Rage game, but the story was a bit of a bummer, especially the ending. It was very abrupt and kind of out of nowhere. So this almost like, you don't see many creative developers coming out and telling people before the game comes out how you should actually play it to enjoy yourself the most. And this saying, hey, make sure you explore and upgrade and this and that before going through sort of felt like maybe preemptively damage controlling the fact that this isn't your like a heavy narrative driven game. Like I think if people are coming into this to have their minds blown by the story alone, they might be just a little bit disappointed, perhaps. Like that's the way I took the message. I thought it was very weird to see myself. I know I plan on playing the game the way he described anyways, so it's not going to affect me, but I just thought it was bizarre to kind of come out ahead and actually say that in a public space like he did. And then to anyone... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I hear what you're saying, but I think that what he was trying to get out there is that sure you're gonna have fun playing through the story, but I think that there's so much hidden stuff on the abilities that some people skip all of the extra content.
Yeah,
they go from A to B, B to C, D to E, and they finish the story and like, yeah, it was okay. The powers were okay, and they miss all of the extra banter.
They do, but like we didn't see Ubisoft coming out with Far Cry and saying like, before you do the story, make sure you do the upgrade trees where you can actually execute 4 guys in a row. Like we all know that the trees generally lead to more fun. So I thought it was kind of funny just to see someone, the creative director, actually coming out and being like, hey, everybody, don't forget to explore and just do the story. You might, like he said, you'll have a great time, but it still sort of felt like he was like, if that's all you're going to do, you might not have the best time. It was really weird. And then for anyone out there that is maybe humming and hawing just because it's Rage 2 and they didn't play Rage 1, I think the game itself said it best. And is if you didn't play Rage 1, don't worry about it. A meteor hit the earth and effed it up in all the right and wrong places. Now things are messed up. That's really it. Like you don't need to worry about the narrative and the story of the first game if that's what's maybe getting in the way of picking up this new one. It's basically a brand new game. It's just the apocalypse. So don't let that stop you.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think everyone is going to play it their way. You and I, we look for everything, right? We're constantly searching every nook and cranny, which is why a game that's normally 20 hours to start to finish, I'll put 60, I'll put 70.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, I have 200 plus hours into it, and Assassin's Creed, I was playing before we went live. I still can't get enough of that game, but I want to move on to the next topic, but before I do, I have to say a thank you for the outstanding $5 super chat from Dream Eater, who says, keep talking about games with the devil horns. And yes, we will continue to do that. And talking about devil, I want to bring up Mortal Kombat 11 for a second. This obviously is probably the creme de la creme in fighting games. I think what NetherRealm Studios have done has once again proven that Mortal Kombat still deserves to hold the title of best fighter, until someone knocks them off their perch, so to speak. Ed Boon has just completely, you got to remember, this is an OG. This is a guy that's been around for 20 plus years in the business. I think he has 30, to be honest. And, one of the biggest features with Mortal Kombat, and at least the last few, including the Injustice 2 games, have been the guest characters. And of course, there has been some talk of the rumored characters, but I just kind of want to go over some of the characters that they've had in past, in both Mortal Kombat X and of course Injustice 2. Mortal Kombat X had Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Alien, Predator, which are crazy, and that was a total of 33 plus selectable fighters, which is bananas. And Injustice 2, I think, upped the ante. They had Darkseid, they had Red Hood, they had Starfire, Sub-Zero, Black Manta, Raiden, Hellboy, Adam, Enchantress, and of course all for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was freaking bananas. And that brings us to Mortal Kombat 11's recently data mined leak. And they have, I was able to get my hands on some of the characters that are going to be on there. According to this leak, Shady, there were a total of 19 additional characters coming to Mortal Kombat. And this story I pulled from Game Rant, where they reported a Reddit user by the name of The Tiny, T-H-I-N-Y, said that Mortal Kombat 11 files that he was able to uncover reference 19 unnamed DLC characters. And these files were accessed simply by launching a cheat engine with a copy of Mortal Kombat 11 for the PC running. And the Thinny has provided image verification of his findings of those 19 leaks. Now, this is a podcast, so you can't see it. So I'm going to break down 9 of the 19 characters. And they're pretty interesting. First of all, Shang Tsung, which I think was I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but you have Joker from the DC universe in there, and you know I can only imagine what his fatality would be. You have Nightwolf coming back, which I think is going to be really cool. And this is where it starts to get really interesting. Terminator is supposedly going to be a character, and I could only imagine what the fatality would be. You have Sindel making a return, and this is another good one. Todd McFarlane's Spawn, I think, is perfect for Mortal Kombat. And this is my favorite. I actually put out a tweet this morning kind of alluding to what we were going to talk about on the show. Ash from Evil Dead. I mean, holy shit. I got goosebumps just saying that. To have Ash in Mortal Kombat, listen, that's where MrBooMStick comes from. I'm such a big Evil Dead fan. Then you have someone called Fujin. I don't know who that is. And Shiva, we know who she is. Those are the 9. I want to get your opinion on this, Shady. This is only 9 of the 19, so there are 10 other characters. I'm assuming they're going to be mostly Mortal Kombat veterans returning. What do you think about Mortal Kombat 11 as a whole, but the guest characters that might be coming based on this leak?
I think the game is really, really, really good. It's a shame that some of that microtransaction grind stuff had to get in the way of, you know, the hype that the game was getting. It was reviewing insanely well, and people that are playing it are having a really damn good time with it, especially fighting fans, of course. I mean, obviously, I love Mortal Kombat. I've talked about it numerous times on this very show. I've been playing it since the very first game back in the arcades. I enjoy it immensely. It is my number 2 fighter behind Killer Instinct. That's still my number 1.
Nice.
But man, I think this new game is really good. The graphics are incredible. The fighting system is well done. I like how the camera's pulled in and the characters are huge.
That's a big point.
Like the list of semi-confirmed guys, like the 9 that you mentioned, I think are basically 100% confirmed. The thought that there's another 10 in there possibly coming as well, I think is staggering. 19 DLC characters. I mean, if you bought that season pass, which we did, money well spent, quite frankly, if you're a big fighting game guy, because that is a lot of fighters. That's almost as many DLC characters as the game launched with. It's missing like 7, otherwise it would be 1-to-1. That's crazy. I do like the list. Shang Tsung, of course, the boss from the first game, who can morph into anybody. That's always a cool fighter to play as. Joker from the DC universe, like yourself, I'm very excited to see finally a DC character with fatalities. I want to see what he's going to do, and I also want to see everyone else's fatality performed on the Joker, because I mean, when you do fatalities on different characters, it does have a different feel just because of the character models involved. So I'm excited for that. You know, Warner Brothers they do control DC, and they did make Injustice, so I think Joker is a good fit for them. And because he is basically a psychopath in the DC universe, it makes more sense for him to be in Mortal Kombat doing fatalities than, say, Batman.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I would take a Batman. It would be sweet. Like, I remember when Injustice DC versus Mortal Kombat was an actual game, and I wished to the gaming gods, RNGesus, all hail, that there was fatalities, and there wasn't. That was a bummer. So I would have loved to see like superheroes performing fatalities. I understand why they didn't. But I mean, like Sindel, that's the old Shao Kahn's wife from Mortal Kombat 2. She's back. That's cool. Fujin, who you said you didn't know, that's actually, I believe, the wind god.
Yes.
I'm not sure which Mortal Kombat game.
God actually mentioned that in the chat.
Which game he made his debut, I'm not too sure, but I'm excited to see Shiva back, another 4-armed female Goro character, if you will. Spawn is one of my favorite comic characters ever. I wasn't huge into comics, like I said earlier, growing up, but I did read Spawn. I loved that artwork, and I mean, if you know So Shady, the violence in that comic just spoke to me, man, and I love that HBO cartoon series of Spawn.
Yeah, it was really good. That was
I really liked that. So I think that'd be cool. And then Terminator, I mean, any kid from the 80s that grew up watching Schwarzenegger action movies, man, that has got to get the blood pumping. I hope it's the Schwarzenegger model, and I also hope there's like alternatives, like he comes out as just the exoskeleton.
Oh, that's
stuff
great.
like that.
Yeah.
It would be fantastic if they were actually able to get Arnold to do the voice. But I think there's enough great voice actors out there. I
mean, they can hire Noof Nukem. He does a good Arnold.
He's right in our own community here. We got a great Arnold impersonator.
Yes.
So I'm just really excited to see these characters come in, see what type of outrageous ways they're going to tear each other limb from limb. I like the game a lot. I look forward to playing against some people in the community. I hear there might be a tournament going on this weekend. We'll see what happens. If there is, I'll be in on it, and I hope to come out on top. But man, I like the game a lot. These fighters excite me, so I hope they're coming soon.
Yeah, no, great points, man. Gaming Forte, I want to get your opinion on this, dude. 9 of 19 apparently data leaked, and you know this is more than just a leak. Someone data mined this. You know what I'm saying? So this is in the code, and these hackers, these technical wonders within the community know what they're looking for. You know, we get a lot of the stuff we talk about on these shows. We get from the 4chan forums, from Reddit. Some of them are never come true, and that's fine. But this seems like enough people are talking about it, and it wasn't just Game Rant. This story was run by numerous big outlets, so I think there might be some truth to it. What do you take on the list of DLC characters?
Oh man, I think I can't really speak any more than how Shady just said about how seeing Joker actually perform a fatality would be the most amazing thing ever. Not just pull out a gun that says bang like he does in
Yes,
in Injustice. Because I even knew, and I know he wasn't going to do one in Injustice, I still was anticipating something crazy, and now I can go all the way with just my imagination can go wild what he's going to do on Mortal Kombat. The biggest thing that I'm super interested in is I know that Season Pass comes with 7 of the characters.
Yeah.
And when you said 19, I was like, so that means they're doing the same model they did with X and XL.
Yes. Yep.
So that means they're going to do packs after that. That's probably going to encompass 4 characters per pack. Like they had one that just had the turtles in it, which was really cool. So I'm really super excited. Mortal Kombat is probably one of my favorite fighting games I've ever played in my life. To the point where I can't even play Mortal Kombat on my own system because my daughter, she's 15, and my 7-year-old, they do nothing but play Mortal Kombat now. If you ever see somebody playing Mortal Kombat under my gamer tag, it's not me.
It's the kids.
It's the kids.
Your 7-year-old child. I love it.
As soon as and this is where Game Pass does wonders. As soon as they put that on, like my daughter played it. She played X and just fell in love with that game like 2-3 months ago and played it every day, playing against her. It was super fun. And then I bought her 11. She practiced for like 3 days, and then she proceeded to whoop my butt in the game, which I can't believe. But when you don't play it and you're not getting as good as these younger people are, you kind of take those L's. But man, I'm super excited for the next thing that comes in. Is my daughter saw she saw this list. I showed it to her, and she's like, "Oh man!" And she's never played with any of these characters. And the fact that she actually looked it up and saw who these characters was and looked up old gameplay and fatality moves was like, "Oh, Dad, you're going to get me that, right?" I said, "It's already got. You already got the premium edition. I just got to buy all the extra characters when they come out." So I'm super excited just to enjoy that with my family because it's real hard to find games, especially when you got 2 little girls to play games with, for them to like latch on.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's a great story, dude. I love hearing stuff like that because it just goes to show you that gaming transcends gender, age, race, creed, color. It doesn't matter. Anyone that's anyone that could like a game, and the fact that your daughters are playing with you, that in itself is beautiful. A lot of people don't understand that. Like when I play with my nephews, Tyler and Daniel, it's a magical experience. I don't have kids, so these are technically Josette and my kids, and we treat them as our own sons. And playing with them is it's amazing to see the joy that they got. I remember when I was their age playing, and I'm like, the wonder you can see in their eyes. It's like nothing else. But great story, dude. Hyena Dan, I want to get your opinion on this, dude. Obviously, Mortal Kombat. I think everyone could say, with good faith that it was going to be a great game. And they've proven that bringing the camera in where these characters are just humongous on your screen, I think is the best thing they could have done. But the fact that we're going to get all of these characters, a total of 19 apparently, and some of which, like for me, Ash is going to be the guy I go to on a regular basis because I'm obviously a huge Evil Dead fan. What were your takeaways from the list that was leaked?
I mean, there's something for everybody in there. With Mortal Kombat, my dad has the game now, and he ended up getting the game for my sister. They're playing it almost every single day. That I walk upstairs. I'm like, you guys really, really love this stuff, and I can see why. Like, it just looks like it's a blast. Like Gaming Forte said, this is one of those games where I think it really lends itself well to a service like Game Pass, once they start getting in, the extra characters and extra content, and it's something that they can really bank off of, and not like they're not banking off of it now, because a lot of people have picked up this game. I've also heard, I don't know, it might have been for a different fighting game, and somebody can correct me on this, but I think I saw Ed Boon on Twitter. Maybe he was just joking about this being something that somebody wanted to see in Mortal Kombat. But I think he was talking about Shaggy from like the.
Yes, no, that's the truth. Do people have been asking for freaking Shaggy?
So when I saw this, I started laughing. I'm like, dude, it's crazy, but it's so crazy. I think it has to happen now.
Yeah, just that voice alone. Hey, what's going on? And you just rip him in half. It'd be. I would love it too. It'd be great.
His fatality could be the mystery machine could pull up. He could throw you in the back and cut you to pieces. You know what I'm saying? And and the head roll out as he drives away. That would be hilarious.
Or Scooby-Doo could come out, or when he does his fatality, Scooby-Doo could come out and say, "Okay, Shaggy," and does something crazy.
Oh man,
that's the
Ed
dark
Boon
I like.
Listen, he loves listening to fan feedback, and to see a modern day Shaggy show up there. First of all, it would be ridiculous if it was a cartoon version, but to see like Shaggy show up there, he's cock D, right? And he's wearing like armor or something, and he downs like one of those big Dagwood sandwiches before he starts to fight. And come on, the possibilities are endless here. That was a great point, Hyena. I forgot all about that, but yes, that you are correct. Shaggy has been requested, and he has been toying with the idea, which is crazy, but a great point. Hyena, before I move on to the next panel member, do you have anything you want to add, brother?
No, just to quickly reiterate, like you said, with this entire list, goofy stuff aside, there's something, if it is to be true, and people have data mined it, so I'm pretty sure it is correct, and then it's being saved for later. There's something for everybody in this list, and I think people are going to be happy with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think everyone's going to be excited. Luke, I want to get your opinion on this, brother. This is a big win, in my opinion, for both NetherRealm Studios and Ed Boon. There was a slight bit of controversy with how hard it was to get the time jewels, I think they're called, or crystal, the time crystals, and they addressed it immediately. They immediately addressed it, and they gave fans a ton of shit as free DLC. Hey, listen, we're sorry, we fixed it. Just go play the game and enjoy it. But the DLC characters have been a hallmark in what continues the story that keeps people playing, and 19 characters coming is a big deal. The fact that they were able to find pictures, apparently, as well as names attached to them. These, like I said, I can't confirm. This is coming from Reddit, so you don't know what you're going to get. But I've seen several people report on this. What are your take on the 9 characters? Are you excited to play any of them?
Yeah, really excited. I think Ash, I would love to play as Ash in a combat game. I think he's like perfectly suited to those kind of games, not just because he's violent, but also because he's kind of got this like weird sense of humor, this like really offbeat sense of humor, which I think is always in Mortal Kombat games, which I really like. And yeah, the list looks great. I think, I mean, if it's been found, in essentially, by data mining, it's basically as good as confirmed, unless something's happened that where one of those characters or some of those characters aren't going to be used anymore. But I think Mortal Kombat for this kind of DLC stuff is always really good at supporting the game. And I mean, the list looks great. I've only had a chance to play a little bit of it so far, but I've really liked what I've played. And it'll be great when they start actually releasing these.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. I don't know when that's gonna transpire, but I think everybody's gonna be watching like hawks to see if any of these leaks do come true. And Zemi, I want to get your opinion on this, dude. This is not a scary game. This is more of a gross, violent game, and I know that you still dig those. Are you playing Mortal Kombat 11? And what are your takes on the leaked 9 characters of the 19?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm currently not playing Mortal Kombat 11. I want to. It's just, I mean, my backlog is just so big, and all these new games are coming out, and there's just not enough time in the day. I do plan on buying it, and I really like the idea of these DLC characters. Pretty much everyone on the panel has said, there's something there for everyone. There's definitely something, there for me as well. And it just makes me want to buy the game even more, which I think is fantastic. And it's, in a way, it's almost like a marketing move in of itself to keep the players who already own the game coming back and playing more. And then to, the players like me who haven't 100% decided on when or if they're going to buy the game, or if they're going to wait for Game Pass, or what they're going to do with this game. It gives them more of a reason to come back. I'm really excited about the Spawn and Joker, and yes. I know I say I'm not a superhero fan, but I do know who Spawn is. I have watched the movies. I do like him. I like Joker, and then Terminator sounds fantastic. Yeah. I really wish that they would add Violator from the Spawn series. That creepy clown,
dude, that would be
that likes eating maggots on pizza. That would be fantastic, and I think he would be really, really suited for Mortal Kombat 11. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely really excited for it. And the Penguin. They should add the Penguin too from the Batman series. I mean, I just think that would just be funny. For me,
it would be. It definitely would be, for sure. No doubt about that. That's well. This is a great point. I'm actually glad you're excited for the game, and certainly the characters, like everyone has said, there is something there for everyone, and that makes me excited. But I want to move on to the next topic. When a generation starts and finishes, which is what we're coming up on in 2020, there's usually a leader of the pack when it comes to original titles, content, and the way that this particular company has led the generation. And this is an original topic of discussion that I've been working on for a few weeks, hoping that it would be ready for today's awesome panel. And originally, it was twice the size of what it was, and it was actually in the 50th anniversary episode. But because we had so many panel members, I had to take it out at last minute. But I shortened it, I rewrote it, and I kind of want to talk about it. Being a gamer, and I think everyone knows this, who has invested over 40 years of my life into the incredible world of gaming. I've had a number of number one developers, and that spot has changed over the years. In earlier days, when gaming, when we talk about the NES, the SNES, the Genesis, the Sega Saturn, the Sega Dreamcast, the PS1, when those consoles ruled the roost, for me, it was Capcom was my favorite developer. And really for so many reasons, Resident Evil, Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. SNK, Dino Crisis, Onimusha, Devil May Cry. I mean, the list is just ridiculous. And and obviously these titles took gladly thousands upon thousands of hours of my life, and I regret nothing. Original stories, characters, and tales were 10 times better than any book I've ever read, and I'm going to be honest with that. But I want to fast forward to this generation, which started a mere 6 years ago in 2013, and the company that I put on the top spot, the pedestal, the golden chalice, if you will, is Ubisoft. They were founded in March 1986 and have been making software ever since. And though it's been a long-running software developer, I believe in this particular generation, they have proven not only to be the market leader, but the company that I have put the most faith into. And why would I say that, guys? You know, franchises like Assassin's Creed, both Origins and Odyssey, the Division 1 and 2, Ghost Recon, which we're going to talk about in a second. You know, Wildlands was completely different than what we played GRAW on the 360. Rainbow Six went from Vegas being a very story-heavy multiplayer game, which I loved, to the squad-based PvP monster that it is. You know, Watch Dogs came out. One, you know, it was supposed to be impressive. It let people down. Two, completely blew people away. For Honor released, you know, with so broken mechanics. Now it's one of the most played games on either of the consoles. And of course, you know, this particular developer continues to demand the market share by simply releasing big titles. I mean, it's bomb after bomb. I mean, yesterday we saw Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which looks ridiculous. Earlier this week or late last week, we saw the new Assassin's Creed title leak where it's taking place in Norse mythology called Ragnarok. I mean, these two franchises, we know we're getting Ghost Recon this year. We know that we're getting the next Assassin's Creed next year. The Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is still a gorgeous, phenomenal game. They just released the Atlantis DLC. And, you know, let's just look at how the deck is already stacked for E3, because Ubisoft is going to have their own event, and I'm still waiting to find out if I can get into it. I hope that I can. You know, there's rumors of a new Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon, which we saw, Watch Dogs 3, Beyond Good and Evil 2, the leaked Assassin's Creed Ragnarok, which is we're going to probably get gameplay at E3. Shady, I wanna get your opinion on this. You know, first of all, Ubisoft is a company that I believe has proven time and time again that they are the market leaders for a lot of reasons. They have a lot of franchises. They have a lot of development houses putting these titles together. What are your takes on what Ubisoft has done in this generation?
First of all, Boom, I just want to say that I am 100% with you. I love Ubisoft. I think they get a lot of heat, and to be honest, I'm not too sure why, besides the fact that some people are burned out, if you will, on some of their yearly franchises. And to those people, I say, go take a year off yourself. The games are fantastic. There are millions upon millions of people that love their franchises and have no problem diving back into a new locale each year in Assassin's Creed or Far Cry or anything
that
like
one
that.
I forgot to mention too.
I think Ubisoft, for not only this gen, but last gen as well, has been absolutely nailing it almost every time. Do they trip here and there? Yes, but I don't think that they actually fall flat on their face almost ever. I think that they are extremely ambitious, especially if you compare them to the other really big boys of the industry, the EA, the Activision. Like Activision makes Call of Duty, and they bought Blizzard and merged with them so they could make Overwatch. Like, that's it. One of the biggest companies in the world for gaming makes essentially like 2 games and a couple of remakes with like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. And then EA, if you're not into sports games, I mean, they've got Battlefield and Need for Speed. They're kind of light as well. Anthem now. I don't think that they're doing as much, whereas Ubisoft takes big risks. They make massively open, detailed environment games. They've come out and said that they are dedicated to their franchises, either hit or miss. They're going to take what they've learned from the past and bring it to the next sequel. To some people, that's a terrible idea. That's milking franchises. I think that shows that they are confident in what they have in store for us and that they want to improve on it and deliver what the fans do want if they don't, quote unquote, in the first game. They've shown that they've been willing to learn from their mistakes even when a game launches and change them, both in the Division 1 with the release of the Division 2 being such an improvement. Free content constantly coming to games like For Honor and Rainbow
Ghost
Six.
Recon just got new content, and the game's 2 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Like they are very, very, very dedicated to their franchises. I think they do a hell of a job. I really like the atmosphere that I see from that company whenever we do get a little bit of a peek into what's going on there. They have a lot of fun at their E3 shows. As cringe as it is, you can just tell that the company loves the industry. They enjoy being a part of it. Their team sizes are ginormous. They literally have like 1,000+ devs frequently working on these games. You don't hear nightmares about crunch and horrible working conditions at Ubisoft like we have been about a lot of other companies today. I think they are phenomenal. They release amazing looking and playing games. They're a lot of the times mature as well. They're not afraid to push some limits in their storytelling and cause a controversy. I applaud that. I like the company. Being Canadian, I think it's pretty neat that some of the biggest games out there today are made, in the country I live in. That's
Nice.
a neat thing to me. I only live 3 hours away from BioWare. That's not Ubisoft, but it's just kind of neat that some of the games we all get to play are within, spitting distance of where I call home. It's neat to me. So I love the company. I'm with you, Boom. I hope that they, have nothing but success in the future. Beyond Good and Evil 2 has absolutely blown my mind so big, man. I'm watching a lot of the Dev Diary stuff over the last year, and the scope and scale of what they're pulling off in that game with allegedly no loads. I just don't know what to say. They are super, super, super ambitious, man, and I just
talented out there for days.
That's right. Like I just wish maximum success for that company. I really do enjoy their games. I constantly look forward to what's coming up from them. And yeah, man, I'm with you, dude. I like Ubisoft a lot.
Yeah, well, it's a great points, dude. As usual, you never disappoint. Forte, I want to get your opinion. Ubisoft continues to improve on long-running franchises and make the necessary changes based on most important player feedback. They do that more than any developer. How impressed are you for them to have this many franchises running in this 1 6-year generation and be able to keep putting out AAA bombs?
Look, man, I will say the best thing that ever happened to Ubisoft was the reception that Rainbow Six Siege had when it first launched. The fact that the game wasn't what everybody wanted it to be when it first came out, the fact that they would listen to their community, and the fact that they didn't give up on development on that game, which I think that game's 5 years old at this point now.
Yeah, about 5 years old. Crazy.
And they still come, and they're in season 4 right now. So the fact that they're still supporting that game, I think it really showed them that, hey, if we still, give the community what they want and invest in our games long term, the fan base will love it. They will eat it up, and they will always have a place to come back and play. Fast forward to games like Division, with the new updates that they had, they didn't give up on that game. That game is still thriving today, and that's why Division 2 is doing as well as it's doing right now. Far Cry, they reiterated on the overall girth of that game. Some people don't like the Ubisoft formula when it comes to their
I
open
love
world
it.
games.
I love it.
But exactly. I love it too. I just love the freedom it allows you to have. And the biggest thing that I really am impressed with is they're not afraid to change, and they're very risk averse. That's the one thing that most developers and publishers aren't right now. If it's not going to make us instant success, then we don't want to do it. That's the one problem we have with Microsoft when it comes to their games and publishing. We want them to, have faith in their IPs. And that's the one thing that nobody can say that Ubisoft doesn't have. They have faith in every game that they release. And when those games do well, they double down even more on those games. So that's the one thing I like the most about it. I'm super happy that they are successful. They are by far my favorite developer of this generation. And just to think at the very beginning of the generation, or towards the end of the 7th gen, with the way that Watch Dogs was perceived and the downgrade that everybody saw in that game, to see them come full circle and literally just be hearts and minds above all the other developers and publishers out there is something to behold. And congratulations to them. And they need to win a game of the year one of these years.
Yeah. Well, I think they might have a chance depending on how good. I mean, again, this year is stacked, but I think when Ragnarok comes out, I mean, I'll tell you right now, for me personally, Odyssey was Game of the Year 2018. That beat out God of War handily, and I loved God of War. But I just think what you can do in Odyssey, like I said, I'm still playing, and I haven't even started the Atlantis DLC, which is supposed to be mammoth. I'm excited for that. So great points, Forte. Hyena Den, Ubisoft's commitment to the player base, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people on this panel's opinion and in the chat, is unrivaled to anyone in any of the big companies for sure. And the company's future is unbelievably bright. What are your takeaways from what they have given gamers this gen?
So it's kind of funny to look back at, where it's in stark contrast where Ubisoft started this generation and where they are ending. I 100% agree that they are at the very tip top of the mountain when it comes to community feedback support. I can't think of any other publisher out there currently that does what they do this well. Their feedback is spot on. The way that they handle situations is spot on. Everything's done in a timely manner, especially now with the games that they're launching. They deserve all of the praise that they're getting for sticking around with their projects. They could have dumped a lot of them, and really upset, the millions of fans that enjoy their products, but they've stuck with it, and they have a lot of games to look forward to in the future. People are super hyped for Beyond Good and Evil 2, even though that game's like 49 years away, but people are excited for it nonetheless, because they look at Ubisoft and they see hope, they see support, they see a publisher and their development studios putting everything that they have into these products and not giving up on them. When it comes to E3, I can only imagine the applause and like the rupture of their conference, in applause, if that one last thing that they had was the lights dim and you just see those green fluorescent lights.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Beep, beep, and everybody would go wild.
Yeah.
Like, it would be insane. Like I said, stark difference where they started to where they're ending. I know for sure, like for me, looking at Ubisoft, back in 2013, 2014, I couldn't even imagine this is how they're ending this generation with, multiple successful, live service games with endless support for, years to come. And it's just really, it's something to marvel in, because there's not a lot of developers out now that currently do that. You look at some that try to, and, eventually they phase out support, which is kind of unfortunate. It's kind of funny because I look at Ubisoft, kind of in the sense of Bethesda, where they were in the middle of this generation, because I think around the middle of this generation, Bethesda has really done some fantastic things when it comes to their games and their support. They put out some fantastic products, but the closer we get to the end of the generation, they're starting to kind of waver, where there is some good stuff and there is some bad stuff, or not as great stuff, as I should say, with Fallout 76. But in contrast, you have Rage 2. So it's interesting to compare and contrast, publishers like Bethesda with Ubisoft. And like I said before, all the praise that Ubisoft is getting is because they're doing good work, and that's all there is to say about it.
No, that's a great point. Now, really, really great points. Luke, I want to get your opinion on this. Ubisoft has done, and I think everyone will agree, amazing when it comes to listening to the fans. And when a game comes out and it is unfortunately it's dealing with shortcomings. of unexpected bugs or not what the community was hoping for, they immediately get to work. And they fix these things, and they stay fixing these things, and they keep giving the content. They make the players come back. Not forcing anyone anything, but they give you a reason to come back on just about every one of their franchises. How impressed are you with what Ubisoft has done and the 2 games that they have coming out in the next 12 months?
Yeah, I think you're right in that they are probably they're right at the top in terms of their development studios, and particularly their output this generation, which has been not just quality but quantity as well, which you rarely see. I mean, if you compare it to someone like EA, where as people have mentioned, you've got sports titles and then Battlefield, and then some other things as well. That obviously they've had Titanfall 2 and Titanfall, etc. But really, by comparison, Ubisoft is putting out really good games all the time, and they're always games that you can sink an enormous amount of time into. With I think they give you really exceptional value for money, Ubisoft, with their games, so that even if there are microtransactions in them, it's kind of they're never egregious microtransactions at all. I don't think. But there's also, I mean, a game like Odyssey is there is so much to do in that game, and the scale of that game is absolutely insane. And then going forward, I mean, I don't think there's any game that they're making going forward that I'm not excited for. So I'm really looking forward to Beyond Good and Evil 2. I mean, that is years away, but super looking forward to it. New Assassin's Creed, Ragnarok, that should be incredible. Watch Dogs 3, which is rumored to be set in London.
Yes.
Which is going to be, I mean, great for, a really different setting that we haven't seen in a lot of games for a while. And it's kind of perfect for that series. And I think actually the jump from Watch Dogs to Watch Dogs 2 pretty much proves how good Ubisoft are in that, Watch Dogs, I remember when the first quote unquote gameplay trailer came out for that. I think it was E3 2012 or 2013.
Yeah, it was early.
I remember there was that game, and there was Star Wars 1313 at the time, both that were shown there, and both of those games were clearly next generation games, but they just couldn't say that they were next generation games at the time. And I remember watching the Watch Dogs trailer, and I was just like, it was mind blowing seeing that trailer at the time. And of course, the game came out, and it was quite disappointing. And then Watch Dogs 2 came out, and it was brilliant. I mean, it was a really huge improvement. They kind of taken all the criticism that people had of the first one, and rolled it into this really fresh, fun experience. It was quite different to other open world games out there. And I think that's Ubisoft's strength, as people have mentioned, which is just listening to their community and listening to feedback they get on games. And when you get a sequel to that game, that they really put in the effort. So I can't wait for what they're doing next. And it's going to be exciting to see what their development studios can do on next generation in particular.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And Zemi, why don't you help us finish this particular topic off? One of there are good things and there are bad things about Ubisoft's games. And the bad things, I mean the size. For me, it's exciting. But for people who have huge backlogs like you, unfortunately, these games, they come out, you have to invest a lot of time. Like I said, I've put hundreds and hundreds, thousands even of hours into all of Ubisoft's titles this generation, and I regret nothing. In your opinion, as just watching this development house go from mediocre to AAA in this generation from start to finish, what are your takes on what they've done, and are you excited for any of the stuff that they have coming out in the next few years?
Yeah, obviously Ubisoft is absolutely killing it. But with that being said, in my own personal opinion, I very much preferred the Ubisoft of like last generation, the 360 generation. The biggest thing that just aggravates me about Ubisoft games is a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them just feel like the same exact thing. Back in the day, back on the 360, Rainbow Six felt completely different to Far Cry, and Far Cry and Rainbow Six both were completely different games from the Assassin's Creed. They didn't even really, have any of the same features that we're seeing, in Ubisoft games today, with, Ghost Recon the Wildlands having that drone to spot out different enemies at outposts. And then you go over to Assassin's Creed and you don't have a drone, but you have an eagle, and then you spot out, different people. To me, it just seems like Ubisoft is bleeding a lot of features and a lot of gameplay elements into most of their games, and for someone who really likes innovation and in gaming, I just get bored really, really quickly. It almost feels like I'm playing the same exact game over and over and over again. But with that being said, I mean, the fans are absolutely loving what Ubisoft is putting out. At least most of them are. They're making a tremendous amount of money, and they do listen to their fans. If a game's not working whenever it comes out, they immediately start going to fix it, and they support their games for a very long time. And so from those points of view, they're a very good company, and they have a very excellent reputation. And in my opinion, it's just, the whole Ubisoft formula getting repeated over and over and over again on each of their titles is just something that I personally don't like.
Okay. I mean, listen, it makes sense, but again, there are a lot of people that agree with you. With a lot of, I've seen it in the chat. People are like, "Oh yeah, it's the big map. You go here, you go to this mark. You check out this tower." And I know towers. Shady was saying in the chat, towers haven't been there in a long time, and he's right. But like I said, everyone had great points on this topic. I want to get to a very interesting and fun topic for the next one, and I think everybody in the chat are going to be digging this one, as well as, of course, this esteemed panel. E3 2019 is under a month away, which is crazy to say out loud. And Phil Spencer and Team Xbox are poised to take the gaming world by storm. With Sony pulling out of the big show and Nintendo having their taped Treehouse event, Microsoft has an incredible opportunity to win back gamers' minds, and more importantly, and this is a real important fact, their trust. Now, there are rumors of a new Splinter Cell being up on their stage. Playground's Fable, alleged Fable, Ninja Theory's unannounced project, 343's Halo Infinite, and of course, I'm expecting something related to Forza, as well as your Gears 5. We're going to see gameplay in that. And, and though all of these would be great, in my opinion, there are many in the Xbox community that have been saying the last couple of weeks that this is a by the numbers E3. I disagree 1000%. I personally think that we need all of what I just spoke about, but we also need to see into the future. And considering how Xbox fans have been put through the ringer in this generation, Phil Spencer has to bring back the same confidence, in my opinion, to the fan base that was once seen during the unrivaled Xbox 360 era. So this is my question to the panel, and I'll go and I'll have you guys give me the answer after I read the question. Being a huge Xbox fan, and I think everybody on this panel is, what do you want to see Microsoft bring to the table? But more importantly, do you think they need to break out all of the stops going into the next generation with a guns a-blazing kind of an attitude? Shady, I want to go to you first on this. What does Microsoft need to do to completely just punch the gaming space in the face? Uh-oh. Shady, you there, brother?
I am. My apologies there, man. I
Okay.
got a bit of a cough, and I certainly don't want to be doing that into the mic.
Oh, no,
so
no. We appreciate
my
the
bad, my bad.
professionalism.
I am certainly here. And as far as what Microsoft has to do to just completely blow minds, I think they've somewhat already done it by being the one big dog that's going to be at E3. Like, I'm a gamer for a long time, and E3's been going for, 26, 27 years, something like that, 25 years. I watch it all the time, and if Microsoft wasn't there either, it would be ridiculous. So I think they've already kind of blown my mind by just sticking with it. But let's get real here. We're talking about truly impressing gamers everywhere, and not just Xbox fans, but all the gamers. I think myself, they need to tease next gen.
Yes.
They don't need to go in crazy balls to the wall and give us all the details, all the specs, none of that kind of thing. I think they should do something like what Ubisoft did with the first Watch Dogs and just show a gameplay trailer of something running on next gen hardware for a minute or so and just blow our eyeballs out of our sockets.
Yes,
that's it.
Great point.
Hey, this is running on next gen, and it's just like, oh my god. And that's it. Don't get into the technical stuff. There's a whole nother E3 before these systems are launching for that to happen, if they don't even do their own side shows to reveal that kind of thing. I don't think this E3 is the time and place for all in next gen talk, but I'm down to be teased, baby. So I think they could do that. I would also like to see something from any of the new studios, plus their old studios, of course, as long as there's something to show. I do not want splash screens, Metroid, Nintendo style.
Okay,
that's not
smart.
good enough.
That's
you know what I mean?
Strong. Yeah.
Just coming up and being like, this game with a title, and that's it. That's not. No, I'm not desperate enough for the information to call that any type of a reveal worth, in my opinion, anyways. Watching, I want to see gameplay as well, as opposed to just CGI trailers. I think we are beyond CGI trailers as far as this industry is concerned. Half of our games are looking as good as those CGI trailers are anyways. So I'm just sick of them. I'm sick of CGI stuff when it comes to advertising. Show me what the game looks like. I'm fine with in-game engine trailers like Battlefield tends to do a lot of the times. I think that's more honest. I do enjoy those. So I'm cool with that. But again, don't splash screen me. If there's something to show, I'm cool with seeing it. But if not, I can wait. I can wait on the Xbox IP. As far as third party goes, I want to see it all. I want to see as many games, exclusive, third party, every single platform in the world. I don't care where they're available. I want to see crazy amounts of games. I hope the show is long, and I hope we're drowning in games by the end of it. Like, that's what I want to see. Without Sony being there, with EA taking the this year off as well by doing their own show, I think that there is a lot of third party that is looking for a stage, and Microsoft is the big one this year. They're almost the only one this year. So I hope they show off all the third party that is actually possible running on the X, maybe a few of them even, teasing on the next gen type stuff. But I just think they need to show lots and lots and lots and lots of games. Try and keep the cringe down.
Yes,
try and keep the weird, I don't know, Microsoft doesn't do it as much, but the musical segments and stuff like that down. I'm down to be entertained. I do enjoy an aspect of that cringe. Like, I've been watching these shows my whole life, talking about video games, especially when it's the suits doing it. They're trying to make it sound hip and cool. It is cringe, man. But there's a little bit of it that I do find a little bit alluring. It's kind of cute, if you will. Like, it's just like, it's a weird little awkward family we got going here as a bunch of video gamers. And I would rather see it than not when we're going to get to it. But that PlayStation conference, they don't have it. And I think that they should have a little bit of that human element. So bring that to E3 as well. But I just think games, and more games. I want to see all the games, but don't come out and show everything. Sony is all like, they're showing us right now what happens when you come out and you show every single thing that you have early, and they're taking a year off for the first time
they have
in history of the company. They're taking off the biggest show of the year as far as video game marketing, because they admittedly say we don't have anything new worth showing, and that is a product of showing what they did have off years and years ago and constantly doing it. So as much as I would love to see everything they have, I'm down with holding a couple cards to their chest still. They're buying more and more stuff up. Speaking of which, I would love to hear about some more studio acquisitions.
I think we're going to get at least 3, but I'm hearing that we may get as much as 5. So
I mean, that would be intense. That would be intense, especially with some of the names we've heard getting tossed around.
Yep.
IO Interactive, Crytek is a favorite of mine, just from the names and IP that they've been doing. Like, I'm
Relic
a big
is
fan of
another one that's
Microsoft
supposed
expanding.
to happen.
Yeah, like Microsoft just seems to be taking gaming beyond dead serious for almost the first time since they launched the original Xbox. They came out firing on all cylinders then, and then almost coasted, and then, if you will, kind of forgot that they were even in the business for a little while this gen and had to be reminded. Phil Spencer kicked in Sadia's door and was like, yo, are you aware we're in the video game industry? Like, we can be making mountains of money. And things seem to have shifted. Microsoft is a monstrously huge company, so it takes a little bit of time, if you will, to turn that kind of a beast around. I think they've been taking the right steps, and I feel that they are almost in the position to really start dropping bombs, man. I'm excited as an Xbox fan. I'm excited as just a gamer in general to see what they got coming. And it's like 30 days away. I'm hyped, baby.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. For Gaming Forte, I want to get your opinion on this. You've been in gaming for a very long time. You are technically in the business because you do work for GameStop. So you're constantly talking with different gamers. You're a diehard gamer yourself. What does Microsoft need to do to basically take advantage of the fumble with Sony pulling out of E3?
All right, so this is my thoughts on it. 2 years ago, Microsoft, when they did their E3 and they showed game after game after game, I think they literally didn't walk anybody on the stage other than to just announce a new game and talk about that game in trailer or form or basically like that. I would like to see something like that again. The biggest thing I want is the context of those games to be the number one focus. Third party, we already know third party is going to be beating down the door to be on Microsoft stage because Sony's not there. They need to take advantage of that. If anything, this is the year that E3, that Xbox's press conference, I don't care if it's 2.5 hours long.
I hope it's 3.
I hope it could be in-game status. All I care. the biggest, they have so many wrongs to right. Even though I believe their E3s have been very, very good over the last couple of years, that's not the consensus across a lot of people in the community. People think that Microsoft needs to do better. And I agree with them in a certain sense because Microsoft needs to show the games and not just third-party games. They need to show first-party games.
Yeah, big point.
All of those games all of these studios that you splashed across the screen last year, even if they're not, unless they're completely, there's nothing to show and they're nowhere near ready, you need to show something. They need to show what every studio is doing because we're not just talking about this year. We're talking about future. We're talking about the future. You're going to go on stage. You're probably going to talk about what the next generation is going to hold. You're going to tease everybody about what the next 2 systems are going to be and how that's going to fit into the ecosystem. But that is going to ring super hollow if we don't have context to what we're going to be playing over the next couple of years. That is my biggest focus around what E3 is. I could care less what Microsoft does if they don't talk about the games, because guess what? All those games that you're showing on stage that are third party, I can play on my Xbox One X. I don't have to go out and buy another system for that. So if you're going to show me new content, new systems, I need to know why I'm going to be buying it. I bought Xbox One X on a leap of faith just because I believe in the platform. I believe in the ecosystem. I love playing with all the friends that I have on Xbox, and I want to have the most powerful system to do that on. But if you don't show me what the next generation is going to hold when it comes to games, why do I need to upgrade to the next system?
Yeah, great point. Really great point. That's great.
So that's the biggest thing that I really, really wonder about. I know they're going to talk about next gen, but those games have to be the center point. And even if you put logos on the screen, think about all the legs games like Last of Us got, Ghost of Tsushima. They haven't shown Ghost of Tsushima in 1.5 years. And people still talk about that game like they just saw it last week.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing that they need to do. Just because the game doesn't come out for 4 years or 3 years or whatever your timetable is, you need to tease the future. We need to get back to what makes games great again, and that is showing what you have to get the fan base excited.
That's a great point. Really, really solid opinion, dude. Hyena, I want to get your opinion on this, dude. But before I do, I have to say a huge thank you to Gotham Guy with the outstanding $10 super chat. He says Microsoft needs to do answering the question, just like the WWF did back in the Attitude Era. They won the Monday Night War by creating new characters while also elevating and refreshing their old characters, hoping Microsoft will follow suit. That is a great point.
Yeah.
Hyena, what is your take on that question? But more specifically, what do you want to see Microsoft do this E3?
Right. So when I look at what the possibilities surrounding Microsoft's E3 is kind of fascinating because they could do a lot, even with a little, if they only have a little. The one thing that worries me about this show, and maybe it's not going to happen, that it's being built up into my mind, but the one thing that kind of worries me about their show that is a possibility is the mention of xCloud. Now, as a technology, I find xCloud just purely fascinating, and I'm not going to be the one to say that it doesn't have a purpose on the E3 stage. I'm not going to be the person to say that, and I'm not going to do that with types of games out there, right? Like some people don't want to see indie games on the E3 stage, or AA games or this and that. And I'm not going to be the one to say whether that's right or wrong. But the thing that worries me about xCloud is how much it could linger on for. I don't mind.
Great point, dude. Great.
I don't mind, because everybody's curious about how this is actually going to work. And they said that there's going to be a beta test this year, and we still haven't really gotten major news about it. We've had stuff, sprinkled in through Inside Xbox episodes, but they still need to talk about it a little more. But I don't want it to linger on for more than it's welcome, right? But outside of that, there's a lot of things that they could do here that could get people really excited. And obviously, the biggest thing here is IP, right? Everybody's looking for a new IP from Microsoft. I do think that they will deliver on this front with at least one. And everybody is obviously assuming which studio that is because we're already hearing rumors about it. But they also find themselves in a bit of a problem, like they are every year, right? Where let's say that people are saying, well, if they don't show IPs, then it's game over for them, and so let's theorize that they show 2 new IPs from 2 of their studios, and this person's like, well, it's still not enough. So you're not going to make everybody happy,
Right.
but you can only do the best that you can do. And I'm hoping that is something that they can figure out for their show. Now, when it comes to stuff like Forza, right? We've been hearing for over a year and change now that Turn 10 is taking their much needed year off. And I don't know if you guys have recently seen in the news, but some of the people they've hired on their art style or on their art team for their next gen game is mind-blowing. You think, and it's right in line with everybody that's getting hired at Ninja Theory and The Initiative, people from Red Dead Redemption 2 to Assassin's Creed to Grand Theft Auto 5 are all joining Turn 10 Studios just recently.
Yeah.
So they're doing massive things over there. But I don't think that they're going to show something this E3, only because I don't think they're ready yet. That's probably going to be saved for next year. I'm really hoping that and excited to hear more about Ninja Theory's project that is just shrouded in mystery.
We've heard that it's some maybe sci-fi-ish and multiplayer centric.
Yeah.
So if that's true, and they've been working on this since like Hellblade, because we know they've said it. Do you think that a lot of people not in the know are going to come out and think that since they were bought by Microsoft,
absolutely
mandated to make a multiplayer game now, right?
Which I find very unfortunate. If that ends up being the case, it's just something that is just unfortunate, and I don't think anybody needs to take the brunt of that. If it's their choice to make something like this,
right.
Is it disappointing? I can see people getting disappointed for by it. But if that's their vision, then that's their vision. And
If the game's good, then it's good,
yeah,
right? Like they have
I'm
a
not.
pedigree of good games.
Yeah, I'm not in anybody's place to second guess what they're trying to do with their work. But outside of Ninja Theory as well, like Playground Games is a studio I'm very excited for, and I look at them in the same light as how Guerrilla Games transitioned from Killzone
Yes,
to
great point.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yep.
I think if they can land this project, and I always talk about Playground Games with such fascination because like I don't think people see the things that I see in Playground Games and their worlds and their art. They have so much talent brewing in that studio that this next project could be their another big break for them, because they've gotten so many big breaks from the Horizon series alone. But it'll be that thing that'll really open people's eyes into them looking at Playground Games as well. They're not just the Forza Horizon guys. They do this stuff that's so radically different from anything they've done before. And so I'm really hoping that game is talked about at this E3. I'm not expecting anything that's in depth or gameplay wise. I truly believe their next project is a 2021 holiday release game, but that doesn't mean that they can't talk about it, right? The game's, theoretically, if they showed it at this year's E3, it's 2 years out, and people are saying, well, if it's 2 years out, they're not going to talk about it. I'm like, I don't see that, because
2 years, 18 months, 24 months is something I think Phil Spencer would not go beyond, but I think 24 months would be something they could talk about.
It'd be awesome to. Oh, go ahead. I was going to say it'd be awesome to see one of Microsoft studios that makes the same type of game, like really break that typecast mold and be able to come out and impress with something new. It'd be nice.
Yeah, just like Guerrilla Games did with moving to Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
There's just so much potential in that studio. I'm really pulling for them, really hoping that they surprise people. It's going to be a no holds barred when it comes to third party. We're hearing that they're trying to bust down Microsoft's door, trying to get on their stage, and so we might see some really surprising third party games that you probably would have never imagined being on a Microsoft stage before in the first place, because now they're really the number one spot to go to. But there's a lot of cool stuff, I think, that will be talked about at this year's E3, and I'm really hyped for it.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I agree with you, dude. Really, really fantastic points. Before I get to Luke, Harry Heck drops an outstanding $10 super chat. He says MS has to also learn is to get all individual studio development circles, and with all of that, the individual release windows planned out for basically he's saying planned out better throughout a year or even 3 years sometimes. Yeah, I agree. They need to kind of be on all on the same page. Luke, I want to get your opinion on this. E3 is going to be a big deal in in many aspects of gaming. There's a lot of pressure on Phil Spencer and Microsoft because they are the only technically big game in town. Not taking away anything from Ubisoft and everyone else that's going to be there, including Nintendo. Nintendo, they are who we thought they were, right? And they're gonna show a lot of games, and it's going to be the pre-taped stuff. But this is an opportunity for Microsoft to win back the faith of the gamers, not just the current diehard Xbox gamers, the same gamers that left to go to the PS4 when a 1080p versus 900p and that $100 price difference really moved people away. They could gain those people back with a strong E3 and a promise of the Anaconda's power and the cheaper Maverick. The Lockhart rather, where it's going to be supposedly just slightly underpowered, to the PS5, which is going to be the cheaper entry into next gen. What do you think they need to do to gain the trust back of the community and also pave a bright future for the next gen?
I think the biggest thing is games. specifically their own games, so first party titles. I think that's the. I think generally they're going to have a somewhat of a difficult job kind of going forward to establish to just your average person what the relevancy of their box is, but I don't really think they're that bothered about that anymore, which is why you can now get their games on PC, and why they're going into game streaming, etc. But I think in terms of just I think for Microsoft it's all about getting people invested in stuff like Games Pass now, and getting that recurrent revenue, and I think that's more important to them than how many consoles they sell, anything of that sort. So I think the way to do that is to show people why you should subscribe through games. And I mean, from my own perspective, I'd love to see what Ninja Theory are working on. I think we'll definitely see that. I'd really like. I'm not. I don't want to see Fable if it's just going to be a teaser. I'd rather see something more substantial. And we have no idea how far that game is out. Playground have been hiring lots and lots of people, even very recently for that. So it's probably a good few years away. I think, like everyone, I'd like to see them do some new IPs. And I think Ninja Theory's game will be one of those, but I hope that maybe they have others as well. And I think just talking about next gen will be good as well. If they can tease a little bit of what Anaconda in particular will be, because I think the power narrative is still quite important, at least for some gamers. It's exciting regardless of which console is more powerful, just to know about new hardware, that next generation hardware. So I think the more detail they can give you about what that's going to look like, or the capability of it, whether they show something about it or not, will be really interesting. And I think the other thing they need to do is get some more studios, which I think they will.
Yeah.
It's hard for them, I think, on the gaming front, because they have a lot of studios now. They've kind of corrected the problems that they've had in the past, but equally, a lot of these studios are on wildly different cycles. So they are a lot of them are far out from releasing a game, and so it's kind of a promise of things to come with Microsoft. And I'm always a bit, I don't understand the criticism sometimes that, they've got all these studios that they're not showing anything about them, what they're working on. And it's probably because most of them are in really early pre-production for their games, or their games are a long time out, and they don't want to show any of this if it all goes pear-shaped, it all goes wrong.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So it's just about biding their time and waiting, and the games, I know the phrase is bandied around a lot, but the games will come. But I think this E3 is the time where they have to show something from that kind of sector of studios they've acquired, even if it's just one or two, just to kind of give people a teaser about what these can do.
It's the old carrot in front of the carrot on the stick, right? To the donkey. You want to keep them, trucking along. You gotta tease a little bit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think they will do that, and I think they will especially do that because, as you've said, that they have the prime kind of conference now. There is no direct competition in terms of Sony for this E3. I mean, Nintendo are probably going to show some really cool stuff, but they kind of sit on the outskirts and do their own thing, and they're not in the kind of same band of conferencing as Sony and Microsoft are. So. I'm looking forward to seeing what they'll do. I think there'll be a heavy emphasis on Games Pass as well, because they really want to get people invested into that. And for me personally, I hope they keep doing Play Anywhere stuff as well, so I can get get all the copies on PC. So
Yes.
I agree.
Nice. Well, listen, before I get to Zemi on the final point for this topic, I have to say a big thank you to the outrageous $20 super chat, Robert Olson in the chat. He says, great show, great panel, keep up the good work. Well, listen, first of all, thank you for being here, dude. And second of all, thank you for the generosity. That's crazy, and I really do appreciate that. Zemi, look, I want to get your opinion on this, and I saved the best for the last. You are an Xbox ambassador. You are one of the biggest Xbox fans I know outside of myself. You have a lot to say about what Microsoft needs to do. In your opinion, being such a big fan, what do you want to see that's going to bring a smile to your face personally, but more importantly, could really just stop all the doubting toms that Microsoft does not know how to put out software?
Well, I mean, I think this is probably going to be Microsoft's and Xbox's most important E3 that they've possibly ever had, in the entire company's existence.
Okay, strong.
And even though PlayStation isn't going to be there, doesn't mean that Microsoft is going to have it easy. The last, in my opinion, major E3 was whenever the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 were both announced. And if Xbox would have came out in a better situation, if they would have came out how they are today, we wouldn't see PlayStation 4 selling 90 million consoles and the Xbox selling 30 million consoles. We wouldn't see such a split. So even though PlayStation isn't going to be there, I definitely think that Xbox has to play it carefully. The media isn't, necessarily 100% with them. A lot of gamers aren't 100% with them, and they can't just go onto the stage and announce xCloud and talk about it, and then also talk about their new consoles and stuff like that. They have to be really, really careful. They need to explain what xCloud is and explain what type of gamer they built this for. And then also they need to announce the new consoles. They need to come out swinging. They need to bring every single thing that they have that is ready and announce it. They basically need to blow people away, but they have to be very, very careful on the way that the way that they communicate this message, because things can get twisted and turned, and articles and people can misinterpret things, and so I think the communication has to really be there. And then also, I mean, exclusives is going to be one of the biggest things for Xbox as well, because they're trying to sell Game Pass as a service. They're trying to get xCloud on phones to incorporate more people into Xbox that otherwise wouldn't have, because they would have never bought the console. So the exclusive side of it is very, very important. They need to hopefully they can announce some new companies that they're acquiring. We know that they're going to announce or not announce, but talk more about Gears of War. We know that they're going to talk more about Halo Infinite. I really think it's important that they bring out some new IPs, and even if it is only a trailer for Fable 4, I think that they really need to push that out. They need to show gamers that they are that the old Xbox, the 2013 Xbox, is far back in the past, and they've learned from their mistakes, and they're covering each and every possible avenue that they need to cover. And I think if they do that, then we might see quite a few people that went over to PlayStation this generation possibly think about coming back, or if not, picking up xCloud on their phone or on their TV, or however it will work, to play the Xbox games there. I mean, I think that they're really going to have to, in a way, kind of walk on eggshells to try to gain back the trust and the respect from all the gamers that they disappointed.
Well, that is a great point. Walking on eggshells, I don't necessarily, I don't know if they would be, but I think that they're going to have to definitely come out with guns blazing. I think they have to do it in a way that's going to get fans excited. Your hardcore is always going to be excited for the brand, right? These are the social media warriors that go out there, and not the toxic part of the community, because Xbox has a ton of them too, which I stay away from. But they need to really appeal to the diehard gamers, but they also need to appeal to the people who left Xbox. They need to show something or many things that are going to say, yes, you can play it on PC. Yes, you can play it on your phone because of xCloud, but if you want to play Halo 6, Gears 5, the new Fable, so on and so forth, Xbox is the brand for you. And at this point, they don't care where you play as long as you're either subscribed to Game Pass, which all first-party games will go to, and that's crazy, and that's awesome, of course. But they will want you to buy the game. So if you're playing on PC, they're still making money because you're buying the game on PC or you're playing it on Game Pass. Either or, they're making money, and that's what they need to push. This has been an outstanding an hour and 20 minutes of just unbelievable topics, unbelievable banter with this incredible and very talented panel. The chat was almost 180 people watching live. This is still a very small show. To have that many people here at one time is really it's very moving for me as a content creator to think that many people are listening live on a Friday morning, whether you're at work, you're at the gym, you're home doing the wash, whatever. I do greatly appreciate it. The super chats have been nothing short of amazing once again. But I want to get everybody out of here, and I want to start with So Shady. Dude, it's great to have you back here each and every week. It's great that your pet is, of course, which is now really considered a member of the family, is well and doing well. You obviously you don't have your own YouTube channel yet, but you are one of the most active people on Twitter, but also on several shows, including Breakfast with Boom. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, listen to you on another show.
Hey, thanks, Broom. That's not a problem. I love coming here every single week. It's fantastic. You have a hell of a show here. You built up an awesome community, man. And I consider it a total honor to be here each and every week. I love it, man. So you can find me on Breakfast with Boom every Friday morning. Also on Xbox Nation on Wednesdays with Crap Gamer, Mooch, Xbot, Noximus. So, we get into it over there. Lots of varying opinions, but we're all buddies, man. We all have a good time. We're all laughing it up. And we just... get into it. That's all I can say. We're not afraid to share our opinions, even if they're different from quote unquote the popular opinion or of each other. So you can check me out over there on Wednesday nights. And then on Twitter, I am So Shady at the Sesh Empire. That is one word. On Xbox, I'm So Shady. Like you said, I don't have a quote unquote official YouTube channel. I can be found on YouTube just with So Shady. I'm there. I've surprisingly got 80 followers, 80 subscribers, and I don't have a single video up. There have been people messaging me pretty frequently, actually asking me to get off my butt and start doing something. I would like to. I'm just trying to get all my ducks in order. I've got a little bit of self-teaching as far as editing tools and stuff to go, but I hear you guys. I would like to get some stuff going here. Hopefully, maybe in the perfect world, it might be around E3. So stay tuned. I might have some to announce for you guys then, but thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone for coming out and spending your time with us on this Friday morning. Take it easy. Enjoy your weekend. Happy gaming.
Thanks again. Awesome to have you here, and that's very interesting news. I'm glad I brought it up because I think that you deserve to have success with your own YouTube channel. You do great for this community, and I think it would be great for you personally to be putting out content. I think people would come in droves. Gaming Forte, you are on several shows, one of which, of course, is BRAP, which is Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're also on a very good friend of this show, Luca, who has her show on Saturdays, I believe. But you also have your own YouTube channel, which you're constantly making content for. Tell everyone where they can follow you, listen to you, and sub your channel.
Well, he already mentioned the two first places. I feel like the people in this community that deserve to get the likes and the video views are not getting them. So especially like Boom, this dude puts so much work into the channel that he does.
Thank you, dude.
He deserves even more than he has, and he does his best to help us out as much as possible. He helped Brap get to 10,000 subs. He helped the Iron Lords get there. So let's make sure that we pay this man back in spades by, pushing all his content as many places as possible. But for myself, Gaming Forte everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, talk a lot of stuff about Xbox on my channel. Also a lot of looter shooter stuff. So if you like that type of stuff, come stop by. And as always, plus this week, I believe, end of this week, we have John Wick 3. Can't wait for it to come out. So just like we did for Avengers Endgame, no spoilers, because there's gonna be a lot of people out really excited to see that movie, and that comes out next Friday. So enjoy that if you're a John Wick fan. See Endgame, because the spoilers are running rampant right now. But other than that, man, I really appreciate you. So Shady, everybody else on the panel. Very nice to be around you guys, and like-minded individuals always speak alike.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you here, dude. You always bring it every time you're on, and I love having you, and you'll be back for sure. Hyena Den, first of all, dude, I love what you're doing on your YouTube channel. I love the fact that you're a tech junkie, and you really get into the aspect of gaming from a different point of view, so I suggest everyone should definitely sub his channel. You do great work on the Saltiest podcast, which is on Thursday nights, every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please tell everyone where they can sub your channel, what you do on it, and more specifically, follow you on Twitter to get all of the awesome updates.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, we had, awesome topics tonight, awesome banter, awesome panel guests, and obviously awesome hosts. This was a very, very awesome show. I thoroughly enjoyed it and was very happy to make it this time around with no snafus or anything like that. But yeah, like you mentioned, everybody can find me every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Saltiest Gaming Podcast, with all of those great guys there talking about a lot of different varying subjects. You guys can find me on Twitter at HyenaDenXBL and Hyena Space Den on Xbox Live and YouTube, where I do opinion pieces, informative pieces, whatever duty calls. I try and make videos that kind of mold around whatever topic it requires. So definitely check that out. It's a slow grind on YouTube, but I finally crossed over the 100 sub mark. Maybe
great. Congratulations.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago or so, and it's just been very it's been an experience being on podcasts and doing research and just learning about everything and going with the flow. It's been very enjoyable for me.
Well, listen, dude, you're a big part of the community, dude. You have a lot to say. I really appreciate your technical prowess that you bring to the Salty Show, but I love having you on here. We'll have you back again. Luke, my friend, I want to get to you, dude. I really enjoy having you on. You have a real unique professional way of not only speaking, but getting your point across about the wonderful world of gaming. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter. And do you have any plans in the future to maybe start your own YouTube channel?
Oh, thank you, Boom. It's a real pleasure to come on here, and I just think just to say generally, I think you're just a great community member in general, and your shows are the only shows that I tend to tune in regularly to if I'm able to. So it's a real joy to actually be on one and be able to interact with you and all the great panel members you have. In terms of me, follow me on Twitter. It's at LukeSteele90. It's all one word, obviously. The nature of my job means it's quite hard to get the time to be able to do YouTube videos. It's something that I'd really love to do. Particularly, I've always kind of tossed around ideas of doing like long form reviews or stuff like that, where I can kind of really do longer videos. So I think maybe in the future, if I get some more time, definitely. But until now, just follow me on Twitter. I post lots of Days Gone screenshots at the minute. So if you like that, then you'll probably enjoy my Twitter for a while.
Okay, well, listen, dude, great having you on. You will be back once again. I love what you do when you're on the show. Like I said,
Thanks,
you
man.
break it down, and it's very enjoyable to hear your passion for gaming. And the last, but in no way least, Emperor Zemi, who has really been a big part of Breakfast with Boom the last couple of weeks. It's fantastic to have him on as a regular panel member. He is, of course, an Xbox ambassador. He is also one of the community's finest, in my opinion. He's constantly getting involved in charitable events, which a lot of people don't tend to do, and he does. His YouTube channel, which is very informative, crossed 10,000 subs a couple of weeks ago, so that's a huge accomplishment. Zemi, please tell everyone where they can sub your channel, listen to what you have to say outside of Breakfast with Boom, and of course follow you on Twitter.
Thank you so much, Boom, and thank you to the panel and all the viewers that came in to watch today. Today was such a fantastic show, as always, Boom. So thank you so much for setting up all the topics and everything, as you always do. It was just a fantastic show. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter or subscribe to me on YouTube, you can do so at Ambassador Zemi. And just thanks again.
Well, listen, it's great to have you here. Your channel is seeing huge success. I hope that's because you're on here, but I do think that you bring a lot to the community and a lot to your channel. Again, I want to thank everybody on this amazing panel for giving up 2 hours of their day to kind of hang out on a Friday. I want to thank the chat once again just for being so damn awesome. The trolls that have unfortunately every now and again plague the airwaves have pretty much stayed away from my shows. I'm not sure if that's because we have some of the best moderators or they just understand that their shit will not be tolerated, but the chat was great. The donations, of course, in Super Chat are nothing short of amazing. So thank you so much for that. And we will see you next Friday morning with the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom. Please, everyone, be safe. Have an amazing weekend. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. Treat people how you want to be treated. Have a great weekend. Take care, everybody. See you next week.